all you rakes and roustabouts. Welcome back to the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. The ship's stereo off. Alright, part 7. The Mariner is returning home. The last time we left off, the Mariner was in his ship. A bunch of zombie angels had left the bodies that they were inhabiting and made lights on the prow of the boat. There is a rowboat out in the same bay that the Mariner has returned to. Let's see here, what else has happened? The boat sees the angels, the lights at the start of the prow, and then they begin rowing out towards this ghost ship that has showed up in the bay. On the way out, the Mariner notices that there is a pilot, presumably the person who owns the ship, his son, who is rowing the little boat, the rowboat, or ship, as they call it, and a hermit. The hermit isn't really described in the story yet, but the Mariner makes note that maybe he, at the end of part 6, says, "He'll shrieve my soul, he'll wash away the albatross's blood." We didn't talk about shrieve much last time, but shrieve is an archaic word for confessing one's sins and being forgiven, much like confession, or very much like confession in the Catholic Church. So, the Mariner has applied this term to the hermit, who will be described at the start of part 7, and we're off. This hermit good lives in the wood, which slopes down to the sea. How loudly his sweet voice he rears! He loves to talk with mariners that come from a far country. And then the gloss on the side says, the hermit of the wood. Alright, so you get this description of a hermit who lives in the woods. The first time you're introduced to him, the hermit, and a hermit is somebody who lives apart from society or lives alone, cut off from the rest of society. So the hermit here is one of those liminal characters who's in between two different worlds. The hermit lives out in nature, but he lives close to society, and it says he likes to talk to mariners who come from far country. So he's part of society, but he lives out in nature. He's like this in-between place. And the ancient mariner is looking towards the hermit to forgive him for his sin of killing the albatross. Second stanza of part 7 continues describing the hermit. He kneels at morn and noon and eve. He has the cushion plump. It is the moss that wholly hides the rotted old oak stump. Okay, so the hermit is not ever described as a priest explicitly, but implicitly, the hermit here performs the actions of what a priest or holy person would perform. So he kneels, which infers he prays at morning, noon, and eve, or in the evening, but he doesn't kneel in a church pew or to a cross or something. He kneels on a mossy stump, the moss that covers the stump, so it's like this mossy cushion. So again, he's being connected with the natural world here. And he is the person that the mariner is going to turn to instead of a priest or some other organized part of society, societal religion that will forgive him for his sins. So the hermit, person who lives apart from society, is being described in terms of a priest, but he's not a priest. But according to the mariner, he's going to perform some like spiritual abolition for him. Alright, stanza 3. Okay, this is the boat's coming toward the mariner, who again is on his ship that's traveled all around the world, but on this adventure now it's sitting in the bay of the town that it left from, or you can assume the mariner's hometown. And he talks about the boat coming out. The skiff boat neared, I heard them talk. Why, this is strange, I trow. Where were those lights, so many fair, that signal made but now? Okay, so somebody on the boat, either the pilot or the pilot's son, says, this is weird. What were those lights that were on that boat that we saw that we were rowing towards? They're gone now. And those lights were the angels that were inhabiting the bodies of the crew members who are all dead on the deck right now. And then the hermit responds, strange by my faith, the hermit said, and they answered not our cheer. The planks look warped, and see those sails, how thin they are and sere. I never saw aught like them, unless perchance it were. Alright, so the hermit looks up at the boat and he says, yeah, those lights didn't answer us, they just disappeared. And look how old this boat looks. And then he focuses on the sails and says they look thin and sere, which means worn out. And then you get another one of these strange Coleridge digressions that don't have anything to do with the plot. And the hermit here compares the sails to dead leaves in winter. So he says, I'll start back at the end of that stanza. I never saw aught like them. Okay, so the hermit's saying, I've never seen anything like them, unless perchance, or unless maybe it were. And then his description is, brown skeletons of leaves that lag, my forest brook along. Okay, so he compares them to brown skeletons of leaves. And then you have a very strange sentence construction here, that lag, my forest brook along. The lag might be, or he might have put along at the end to rhyme with young at the end of the stanza. But it sounds like trees that line the side of a brook. And then he gives a setting. They look like dead leaves of trees on the side of a river. And then he says, when he sees this, when the ivy tod is heavy with snow, and the owlet whoops to the wolf below, that eats the she-wolf's young. So it's this really strange digression of a description of wintertime where he would see leaves like this. And this has always disturbed me, and I don't know what to do with this digression, but it's like the other ones that I pointed out with Coleridge, the fiend following behind somebody and the moon rising above. It seems like Coleridge is specifically trying to do something with this description here. But the description is very strange. You get wintertime scene, they look like brown leaves, and then the digression is when the ivy's heavy with snow, and when an owlet, which this is another vague description here, an owlet here can be a small owl or it can be a baby owl. Whoops to the wolf below. So you have a small owl or a baby owl calling to a wolf below, and the wolf and the last line says that eats the she-wolf's young. That could either refer to the owl, small owlet. So in this construction, we would assume the owlet is a small adult owl who eats baby puppies, because owls eat small animals. A squirrel's tail just lying in my yard, just the tail, cut off from a squirrel. And then there are owl pellets all over. So they eat small animals. So it could be that owls eat this she-wolf's young or these baby puppies. Or maybe it's a baby owl calling to a wolf that eats, to a male wolf that eats a female wolf's little baby puppies. But either way, you have puppy murder right here, or puppy homicide. So you have this description by the hermit of nature being violent. And the hermit lives close to nature, which is a very strange construction here. If the hermit says he lives in nature, he lives close to nature, he wants to live away from society, but at the same time he has this, like, there are senseless murder in nature. And if you think about the natural world outside of all the descriptions you've had of this poem so far, where the natural world is a place of beauty and this, what word am I looking for? This idyllic setting where you have like this Garden of Eden situation. This seems to indicate like nature's not all like that. Nature can be harshly violent. I don't know why he's trying to explain this. My best theory is that Coleridge, through the hermit right here, is saying humans are presenting us with the slaughtering of baby wolves or little baby puppies, which disturbs us and which should disturb the reader. Coleridge may be saying here that, yes, there is knowledge you can gain from nature, but humans have some additional layer to that. So being in touch with nature gets you in touch with this primordial knowledge. Maybe, who knows what Coleridge believes, maybe he does believe in nature spirits. But he's saying that there's something out there once you get close to nature that can teach you things. Again, he was good friends with William Wordsworth, who had that tables turned, let nature be your teacher. But he has this other layer where like disturbing things happen in nature. So it's almost as if he's saying human beings are disgusted by things in nature, perhaps he's implying that, yes, we are creatures of nature and the natural world, and we should be in touch with those primordial feelings. But at the same time, we have this added sense, like Adam and Eve gained when they ate the knowledge of the fruit of good and evil, or like Enkidu gained when he slept with Shamhat and gained this godlike ability, that we have some elevated sense of consciousness that sets us above the rest of nature, and we're disturbed by this like senseless slaughter of little baby animals. That's my nearest theory about what's going on here, and it sets up the second half of part 7 pretty well. That yes, human beings should be in touch with nature, and there is something out there that we can learn just by being in the natural world and appreciating it, but we have some added responsibility that the rest of the natural world doesn't have. Okay, so it's a weird digression. I went off on the weird digression, followed it. Now, back to the story. The mariner is watching this boat come towards him, and the pilot says about the boat that the mariner's on, that's sitting out in the bay. "Dear Lord, it has a fiendish look," the pilot made reply. "I'm afraid." Push on," said the hermit cheerily. So the pilot says, "Oh God, this boat's terrifying. I'm scared of it." And the hermit says, "Oh, let's go check it out. Push on." The boat, okay, and the mariner's describing now what's going on. Let me drink. Mug's almost too hot to handle. Alright, so the mariner continues describing the boat that the pilot and the pilot's son and the hermit are on. "The boat came closer to the ship, but I nor spoke nor stirred. The boat came close beneath the ship, and straight a sound was heard." Okay, so the boat's right under the ship, or it's right near the ship, and then this strange sound starts to happen. "Under the water rumbled on, still louder and more dread. It reached the ship, it split the bay. The ship went down like lead. And suddenly the ship sinketh." Okay, so the mariner says there's some sort of sound that he hears out in the bay. It reaches the ship, and then the bay opens, and the ship sinks. "Stunned by the loud and dreadful sound which sky and ocean smote, like one that has been 7 days drowned, my body lay afloat. But swift in dreams myself I found within the pilot's boat." Okay, so he says the ship sinks down like lead, but he, for some reason, doesn't go down with the ship and all the dead crew members and everything that's on the ship. He floats in the water, and then the boat with the pilot and the pilot's boy and the hermit come up near him, and then they pull him on into the boat. The footnotes, or the gloss says, "The ancient mariner is saved in the pilot's boat." And the mariner continues the story. "Upon the whirl where sank the ship," so I guess there's a whirlpool where the ship sank down. "The boat spun round and round, and all was still, save that hill was telling of the sound." Alright, so they're on the boat. The big ship that the mariner was on sinks and causes a whirlpool, and then the little boat that he's now on is swirling around the whirlpool, and everything is silent except, love this image, all was still save the hill that was telling of the sound. So the sound of the boat sinking, or that roaring sound, has stopped, but off in the hills you can hear the echo of that sound still telling, or the hill telling of the sound, or the hill echoing the sound. I love that one. Alright, and then the mariner says, "I moved my lips, the pilot shrieked and fell down in a fit. The holy hermit raised his eyes and prayed where he did sit." So they look at the mariner, and he must look terrible after this ordeal, and say, "Oh Lord." So the pilot screamed and fell down, sounds like he passed out, and the hermit started to pray. "I took the oars, the pilot's boy, who now doth crazy go, laughed aloud and long, and the whole while his eyes went to and fro. 'Ha ha!' quoth he, 'full plain I see, the devil knows how to row.'" So the mariner is in the boat, and he's like, "I need to get out of here." So he grabs the oars from the pilot's boy, and he starts rowing. The hermit's praying, the pilot's passed out, and the boy says he goes crazy, the pilot's son, and says, "Ha ha! Now I see that the devil knows how to row," or like this weird creature who is the ancient mariner. Looks like he can row, so he compares the mariner to a devil because he looks so scary. And we will only
one more, maybe 2 more videos, maybe I'll give an analysis. But one more, we're almost done with this. Alright, turn on the old pirate music. Anything else I have to say? You, Perry?